Hi everyone. Now today we are planning to discuss about a specific migration pathway for the people who cannot apply for the general skill migration. So we have our migration consultant Mr. Sanjay Caldera from Sanjay Caldera Associates to discuss about this topic. Now we are going to talk about the designated area migration agreement, which is called DAMA. So Sanjay, first of all, we would like to welcome you back to Sri Lanka Morning Show program. Now, can you please explain what is this DAMA?
So, DAMA stands for Designated Area Migration Agreements. This stems from what we call labor agreements. And it is a pathway that the department has opened up, which works very closely with the state governments. So this is the visa categories are the subclass 482 skills in demand visa and the subclass 186 employer nomination scheme. This is where certain concessions apply for these visas. We know that when you apply for a subclass 482 and a subclass 186 visa, there is a list of occupations.
That's right.
And that list of occupations is called the consolidated skill occupation list. But there are so many other occupations that employers want, and specifically in regional areas. This is where DAMA comes into play.
Right, okay. Now, who is eligible to apply for the DAMA?
Yes, so we have an employer and employee. So this employer would be in regional Australia and have skill shortages and want certain skilled or semi-skilled people. Now those occupations sometimes could be in that consolidated skill occupation list or outside. So long as they can prove that they require these occupations and they need these employees to come and work for them, they work with the South Australian or any other state government office to get these DAMAs approved.
Right, okay. Now, you mentioned that there are some concessions for the applicants. So what sort of concessions that they have?
Yes, so when you apply for a subclass 482 skills in demand visa or a subclass 186 visa, there are specific requirements. Let's say the English requirement for a 186 is 6 IELTS, or we call it PTE 50 each, and for the subclass 482 it can be a bit lower. Now when you go into DAMA and when employers are really struggling to find employees, and there are employees who do not have those English requirements, this is on an individual case-by-case basis. Right. It depends from occupation to occupation. You could go with a lower English score. The other one more important thing is the age. So for a subclass 186 visa, your age is 45 years. That's the maximum age. There are some concessions for doctors and academics. But for other people, DAMA allows you to go up to the age of 55.
Right.
So this is to say that again, employers are finding difficult in regional areas to find employees, and there are some skilled employees who don't meet the mark.
That's right.
So both these things come together and it's a good outcome, especially for regional employers.
Yes. Now, what sort of benefits that the employers and employees will get through this, DAMA agreements?
So let's talk about the applicant, which is the employee, which is the migrant. Now, they may have exhausted all the other options of general skill migration and employer nomination under the traditional 482-186 basis, and they really come to a situation that they can't find options. However, they have been able to secure employment with a regional employer, but not meeting these basic conditions. And so for the employees, this is really an opportunity, in their PR pathway. And for the employer, when their occupations and the occupations that they want is not in the main list, and also when they can't afford to pay the minimum salary, which we call TSMIT of 76,515, they could offer and sponsor these employees at a lower salary, at a lower English requirement, and maybe at a higher age group.
Right.
So it's a win-win situation for both employee and employers, especially regional. I'm talking about regional employers.
Now, I just thought of asking you this question because now it's a big issue for the current applicants, especially when people are on their temporary residency, and when the temporary residency is over. So are they allowed to apply for this DAMA, or when they reach towards the end of their visa?
Yes, they can. But what is most important is that now that an applicant goes and applies for DAMA, they secure an employer who is eligible to sponsor them under the DAMA agreements, which is called the Designated Area Migration Agreement.
Right.
The concessions are there, and quickly they could be employed in regional Australia.
Right. All right. Now, if somebody wants to apply for DAMA, how can they apply for DAMA?
So, DAMA stems from what we call labor agreements. So, it is an agreement that the employer has with the Department of Home Affairs, and this can be industry specific labor agreements. So, it is this rules, the concessions apply to a whole range of industries. Then the area specific is what we call DAMA, and then there is individual company agreements that they make a business case with the department and says, look, for this company we need these people, and so that is stemming through labor agreements. It is wide range. It's quite different from state to state, but once again, what is the underlying matter is that the employer gets into a labor agreement with the department through DAMA or an area specific or industry specific agreement.
Any regional area in a certain state is not applicable to apply for this DAMA visa category, is it?
That is right. So let me take an example. South Australia, the entire of the state comes under the DAMA, and you could go and look at what we call DAMA list in South Australia. You can then look at all the occupations that comes under DAMA and the specific concessions that apply to each occupation, which can be different. So when I talk about concessions, it's not a blanket concession.
Yes.
Now let's go to Western Australia. Western Australia doesn't have for the entire state. They have DAMA agreements from area to area because Western Australia is quite big.
Big, yeah.
Even Victoria has it and New South Wales has it from area to area. But one of the more which is specific to the whole state would be South Australia.
Right, okay. So, I think you have shared some valuable information for the people who cannot apply under the general skill migration category. Now, do you have anything else to share to our viewers about this DAMA visa, Sanjay?
Yes, sometimes what I always say is you have exhausted all the options of general skill migration, and sometimes your occupation is not in the employer nomination, so you're not getting an invitation, nor an employer can sponsor you. At this point, it's very important to find out if your occupations come under the certain DAMA areas, and make sure that you apply for your jobs in those areas and have that discussion with those employers who will qualify for DAMA.
Right. So prior to apply for the visa, you should find out an employer who can sponsor you. Is that right?
That's correct, and especially when the mainstream pathways are not available, and you can't leave it to the last moment either.
Yes. Thank you so much for sharing this valuable information with us, Sanjay, and hope to see you again with a new valuable topic in coming weeks.
Thank you, Tushara, for having me here today.
There's no better place on earth than you. Yeah, I dream of you, Sri Lanka. Yeah,
I pray for you, Sri Lanka.
my hopes on you, Sri Lanka.